Welcome to Instant Archery Advice. Helpful advice in under 5 minutes. And if you're looking for some one-to-one online coaching, I still have a few spaces left and all the information is in the description. I think stabilizer extenders are probably one of the most important pieces of equipment on your stabilizer setup on an Olympic recurve bow. Now, mainly they all look the same, but one of them has something hidden inside, and that's what makes it the best. So why are they so important? Well, literally everything else is hanging off these. All of your rods, your weight, your dampeners, everything is connecting to the bow through this. And I'm just going to add, I've seen 3 broken ones at least just in the last 12 months. Most companies just make their extender from the same materials and the same fittings as they make their rods from. And yet, if you speak to any engineer, there's like 5 times the load going through their extender than there is the rods. So either the rods are stiffer and heavier than they need to be, or, as I personally feel, their extenders are not really stiff enough. My preferred extender by far is the Eastern ProLink. Now, it's one of the more expensive extenders, coming in at $70, but by no means is it the most expensive. But with the Eastern ProLink, you're paying for something I've never found in another extender. Yes, it has an aluminium fitting at either end and a very stiff, thick, slightly larger diameter carbon tube on the outside, but on the inside, it has this steel bolt going from front to back, pulling the unit together and keeping it stiff. And I mean, this is by far the stiffest one I've ever used, and I think it matters. Now, of course, it matters more for someone who's using a stabilizer setup with 10 ounces on the end of each rod, or compared with someone who has 2 ounces on each rod, then it makes less difference. But particularly for guys with heavier stabilizer setups shooting heavier poundages, even if you have a stabilizer setup with a different make, maybe you love your Win and Win rods or something like that, because yeah, they're fantastic rods, I would still put the Eastern extender at the beginning, because in my experience, it's far stiffer, far more durable, and I've never ever seen one of these break or come loose or anything. It's just delivering next level performance in a place that most companies, I feel like they've just forgotten about it. And they basically just take one of their 10-inch side rods, cut it down and put a fitting in each end and consider the job done, rather than looking at the system and thinking, well, this point of the bow has got 5 times more load on it, maybe we should make it 5 times stiffer. And Eastern have done that. Now, the inclusion of this steel rod has made the unit just a little bit more heavy, as you can see, but really with it being that close into the bow, it doesn't make a significant difference. I feel the performance gain by fully being able to utilize your stabilizer setup, utilize your other stiff rods, is outweighed by just maybe having a little bit increase in weight. Because remember, it doesn't matter how stiff your other rods are. If your extender on the high-speed camera is bouncing away, everything else was a waste of money. Now, like many companies, they come in 3 different lengths, 4-inch, 5-inch, and 6-inch. Of course, the answer to which one should I use is always, the correct answer is go test. But of course, most people can't afford to go buy 3 and go test. But you could test with a Clubmates one just to see which length suits you. But generally speaking, if you're on the shorter end of the draw length, 25, 26 inches, you're going to go for a 4-inch extender. And if you're like me, you've got a 30-inch draw length, you're probably going to go for a 6-inch extender, and everyone else is somewhere in between. And generally, if you get one of those stabilizers and then you match the weight balance to something you like and you can aim well with, normally you can make any of those sizes work. If someone gave me a 4-inch one, it'd probably just mean I add a little bit more weight to my long rod to get me that center fall feeling that I like the most. So you can probably, it's not a critical decision which length you have, so probably just take the guidelines off your draw length and you can move on and start tuning the balance of the bow. So in summary, if you have a very light stabilizer setup, you're probably okay with a mid-range stabilizer. But if you're someone who's shooting a heavier setup, or someone who you will be using a heavier setup in the future, I would seriously consider buying the Eastern ProLink. It could literally be the best $70 you spend on your equipment this year. If you have any questions or you yourself have had an extender break, let me know in the comments. And if you enjoy these videos and you're still watching, please hit the subscribe button as there's lots more to come. All right, good shooting.